What is going on, video game fiends, and welcome back to a new video. This one's a little different. This is actually going to be my first review. Can't say review, actually preview of Khazan the First Berserker. I was lucky enough to get a closed beta code and was able to test it for about 20 hours or so. I had the game for 10 days, but obviously I'm very busy at work right now during the holidays, so about 20 hours in I was able to get, and for now it's good enough to at least give you an explanation of what this game is about, the mechanics, whether maybe this is for you or not. With that said, let's get the big elephant out of the room. In my opinion, this is not a Souls-like game, and I'll have a couple of reasons for that further in the video. But the one aspect that is sort of Souls-like, or like any other action RPG game, is that you do collect something called Lacrima, if you know what that means. This allows you to basically upgrade your status. So anything that's in your status that you want to upgrade, this includes vitality, endurance, strength, willpower, and proficiency. These are all the things you'll be able to update in the status menu. And this leads me to this. This is the blade nexus. You'll find these throughout the game. This is what you use as your checkpoint and how you will upgrade Khazan. And in the same fashion as Souls-like games, when you do die, you end up back at this checkpoint. You also lose the Lacrima. Lacrima. Someone in the comments tell me what you think this is. Is it Lacrima? L-A-C-R-I-M-A. How do you pronounce that? Lacrima? I don't know. Well, yeah, that. You lose it. So you have to go back and get it from the area where you died. This is also one of 3 weapons that were in the demo. I do not know if there would be more weapons, but this is the dual wield that you get. You also get a great sword, very similar to Berserk. And the third weapon we were able to use was the spear, which was my personal favorite. Even though later on in the game I started using the dual wield, and I did feel like it was obviously a little bit more powerful than the spear, but the spear gave me that distance, the mobility. I felt really good with the spear, and you'll see some of that gameplay later on, hopefully. I believe I captured some spear gameplay, but yeah, this is the very beginning. This is how you start out, giving you a small tutorial on how to, use your weapons, a little bit of mechanics, things like that, and how to dodge, which is something you'll want to do. Dodging in here is very key, and so is parrying. Parrying or deflecting is probably the key mechanic in the game, and what you will be needing to do in order to really survive. Don't get me wrong, the sidestepping works great. I just wasn't using it as much, but it does work very well. But deflecting, parrying will be your key mechanic to defeating all the enemies in here. So if you like something like Sekiro, this is going to be right up your alley in that type of gameplay aspect. Sekiro's great, one of the best games in recent years. So if you like that type of gameplay, you're definitely gonna like this. I'm not gonna compare this to Sekiro, because really that's just a whole nother animal on its own. But just to give you an idea of how you'll be playing this game, mainly will be deflecting and sidestepping. If that's not something you're into, I'm gonna tell you right now, this game is not going to be for you. So just putting that out there right now, early in the video. If you're not into parrying, if you're not into sidestepping and getting that accurate sort of pinpoint mechanic, on point, you're not gonna like this game, because it will frustrate you. With that said, the gameplay is extremely tight, and what I mean by tight is, if you've ever played any type of arcade style beat 'em up, That's what I'm talking about. It has very, very tight mechanics being this early, especially being a beta this early into the production of the game. The gameplay was extremely tight, and that is one of the things that really drew me into the game, is how tight that gameplay was, how tight the deflecting, parrying was. It's not hard, but it's not very forgiving, if that makes sense. It's like right there, perfect in the middle. I mean, look at Sekiro. Sekiro's parrying was on point. It was superb. This is just as good as that. I didn't feel any weird fidgetiness with the controls. If I try to deflect something, it just worked, and it worked very, very, very well. So let's take a little step back and let me go over the story for you. At least this is what's been given to us on the website. Set in the 89th year of the Pelos Empire, the great General Khazan was framed for treason. Once celebrated as a hero who saved the empire from the fearsome berserk dragon, jealousy from those around him brought about his demise. Falsely branded as a traitor, he was tortured and exiled to the snowy mountains with severed tendons in both arms. I didn't include the intro, but in the intro, it's pretty much the army or whoever it is taking him up into the mountains in a caged sort of cart going up, and that's where you begin the game. Okay, so let's get right to the very first boss encounter. You'll see a bit of the gameplay here as far as the mechanics that I'm talking about. The parrying, the sidestepping. This boss was tough. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say, yeah, I beat him on my 5th try. No, this guy took me like 20 tries on my first attempt when I got to him. So I'm going to let this play out so you can see what the gameplay is like, and I'll be back in a few minutes. So there's that. Hope you enjoyed the fight, and basically that fight gave you a very good example of what the gameplay is like, what you need to do, and what you're going to be looking forward to in this game as you fight bosses and get into these encounters where you're going to be dashing, sidestepping, parrying, deflecting, all that stuff to bring stamina down so you can do more damage to that boss.
Fate be your guide.
Wanted to let you know about different skills as far as the skill tree is concerned. This is something new that gets added to your arsenal automatically. You can actually sort of shoot stuff at enemies. Here is the skill tree for the dual wield weapon. I only have this, so you're only going to see this part, but this is where you spend your skill points as you progress in the game. If you look in the upper right hand corner, you see a mastery level. As you start defeating enemies and using the weapon, that'll go up and you'll be able to get a skill point and use that skill point to wherever you want to place it. There's also a general tab that you saw there. That's actually skill points for your character only, so it has nothing to do with the weapons. It's solely for your character's abilities in the game. One of the things I like to mention is that there are a variety of enemies in the game, like this boar that I'm fighting here. There was monkeys, there was bears, you saw the Wendigo boss. There's actually one that's a little bit smaller than that, that's a regular enemy that you fight. Aside from the regular soldiers and things of that nature that you fight, it's good to see that so far in the demo there was a good variety of enemies overall in the game. Here you'll see me use that skill I learned at the very beginning of this level. Once you enter it, I'm killing off these wolves here. It's a great attack. So far I've used it on enemies that are at a distance. I tried to use it in a boss fight and it really didn't work out too well on a boss fight. This is another mechanic in the game. You can actually get to areas and points where you can do shortcuts, so you don't have to go all the way around to have to, if you're searching for items or anything like that, you can go back, or if you want to farm, there are shortcuts for that, which is great. Here is where we'll get our second weapon. This is the greatsword. Not a fan of it at the moment. I'm sure it's going to be great as you upgrade it. It just this early in the game, it just didn't feel good, and I just loved either doing the dual wield or the spear. I am looking forward to upgrading the greatsword and seeing how well it does with the harder enemies and what type of damage you're going to be able to do. So I'm sure it's going to be great in the later game as you upgrade its skill tree, and that is something I'm personally looking forward to doing. So as you get each weapon, they're going to put you in a situation where you start using it and fight off enemies, which is kind of cool, so you can at least get an idea of what that weapon feels like. This is like a graveyard that I entered. I believe this is one of 3 encounters, or 2 encounters. I think it's 2 encounters or 3 encounters, I forget, where you have to get past this area and clear it out to make your way to the top where your next boss encounter is. But as you see here, it's a bit clunky because obviously it's not upgraded whatsoever, so that's just how it's gonna feel. I like that little rush attack it has. I thought it's pretty cool. It kind of staggers the enemies. But like I said, you're not going to see much here because it's not upgraded, and you won't see any gameplay because I decided to only upgrade the spear and the dual wield because that was what I personally felt most comfortable with. So if you notice my character, I have new armor on. The way armor works in the game is actually pretty cool and something I prefer. You get what's called brand sets. I'm sure if you played any games, any RPGs, any action RPGs, something that comes to mind immediately is the Division, where you get brand sets, and a full brand set will give you, you know, certain perks for that brand set, whether it's a poison brand set, whether it's a strength based brand set, whether it's a sniper, anything like that. That's what you get in the game. That's how the armor is set up here. You can put on 2 pieces to get 2 perks from that brand set, and maybe put 2 pieces from another brand set to get those perks. And that's pretty much how you're going to be managing your armor in the game for Khazan. I'm a fan of that. I love brand sets. I think it adds good replayability to a game where you can mix things up and try something different than maybe you didn't try the first time around. So I'm a fan of it, and if you're a fan of that, then you'll feel right at home with that type of mechanic. So as I said earlier in the game, I don't feel like this is a Souls-like game. Yes, it has a couple of mechanics in here. You know, the stamina break-in, the Lacrima, whatever you want to call it, and the checkpoint resets. But I believe that's where it really all ends as far as it being put out there as a Souls-like game. For me, it feels like a very tuned arcade style hack and slash game, but with the difficulty level very, very, very high. If you do not like difficult games, and if you complain about Elden Ring, Demon Souls, Sekiro, any of those Souls-like games that you feel are difficult because they don't have an easy mode, you will definitely need to steer away from this. This is not going to be for you, because in my opinion, this is harder than those games. The encounters that I've gone through so far, even just regular NPC encounters, have been a pretty damn big task to get by. You know, even if you decide to try to run by an enemy and try to think that, oh, I'm going to get past them, they will follow you, and you'll end up with 1, 2, 3 enemies fighting at the same time, 4 enemies fighting at the same time, and that's not a situation you want to be in, especially early in the game. That will definitely frustrate you. So on their website, they actually say hardcore, and they really mean that. Like, you got to be hardcore in order to play this game and like the difficulty that this game will present you. However, my experience with the game, my 20+ hours that I played with the game, felt really, really good. No matter how frustrated I got in the very beginning, where it was very difficult, where I didn't quite understand the mechanics, and once I found out the mechanics, then it felt great. One of the persons I spoke to on X was comparing it to Neo, and I told him not to. I told him, don't get that out of your head. Go back into the game, give it a little bit more time. Just because you got owned on a boss fight in the very beginning doesn't mean you just dismiss the game and think, oh, this game is not good, this game sucks. No, it's not the game, it's you. Get back into it, try it again, and keep trying until you get it. And if you want to compare a game to this, just to give you guys an idea, I compare this game and how hard it is to something like Ninja Gaiden. If you've ever played Ninja Gaiden, you know how difficult that game is, especially the fact that the gameplay isn't that tuned and isn't that good compared to this. This gameplay that I played for 20 hours here was very, very tight, was just felt great. I can't even think of an issue that I had with the gameplay or the mechanics so far in the game, because it just felt great. So here is a second boss fight. I'm gonna leave it here. I'll be back in a couple of minutes once this is over to do a quick recap, and I'll probably post up one more video. Here you'll actually see the spear gameplay that I'm talking about.
This we declare. We declare. Your body and soul, they belong to us.
All right, guys. This is my recap so far of my experience with the game. Also, this is the third boss encounter. I didn't include the intro, figure I'll leave that one out for now, but this is how I feel. To me, this game doesn't feel much like a Souls-like game. Whether that's a good thing or not, that's up to you. Yes, there's a stamina bar, there's Lacrima, there's reset checkpoints, but does that really make it a Souls-like? It has really good tuned gameplay that has a great arcade feel, a status menu to upgrade, skill tree for weapons, and your character, which are a plus. The brand sets are a great idea, and I really look forward to playing with that in the game. As far as difficulty, don't let my gameplay fool you. In some instances, the game is hard, very hard, and it's not forgiving. It expects you to keep dying and trying. For now, this is all I have. The video went a lot longer than I wanted to, so enjoy the gameplay, and thank you for sticking around to the end. If you stayed, this is my first preview review of a game. I'll have to look at it and make it better next time, as this was pretty much all over the place. But like my beautiful goddaughter loves to say,
like and subscribe.
Until the next one, keep on gaming.
Berserk Dragon. For so long, this power had threatened the Empire. The power of Hismar, the Berserk Dragon. Fate chose us to be the ones to defeat him. Me and the great mage Ozma, my closest friend and comrade. We were loyal servants of the Emperor. But that loyalty was betrayed. The Emperor, the nobles who falsely accused me, especially Pavel, they will all pay one day.
The Mage Ozma, a traitor too? Yes. And did you hear what they did to him? Blinded and then executed. Just like a traitor deserves.
Ozma, my friend, I swear we will be avenged. Everything has been taken from me. Everything. This place, if there is a hell, Then this is surely it. Emperor Palmyria, Pavel. You will both be dragged down here.
That annoying scholar Defrona was right. That device isn't the reason for what's happening in the netherworld. We still need to find the cause of the disruption and stop it. Get ready, mortal. We have finished here, but there is still much to be done elsewhere. You see this? The restored energy here has opened up the realm of the mortal world inside the crevice. We should explore it.